Yay! Welcome.
Hey,
Thank you.
how's everyone doing?
Doing great. And that was a great introduction, folks. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. So let's get started. Why don't we have both of you introduce yourselves, and then let's get started from there. Aylin, you want to go first?
Yeah. So my name is Aileen. I'm a software developer at AWS RDS Custom, and I have been working on Amazon for more than 4 years now.
Yeah, very same for me. So I'm Oleg. I'm also from the RJS custom team, and I'm in Amazon for also almost 4 years now.
Nice.
Awesome, awesome.
Welcome.
Welcome everyone. So I guess Shashank and I both have that same question here because we're also new to this service. First, before we get into RDS for custom
Kingston
for
Park.
Oracle, what is Amazon RDS for the people in the audience who don't know?
Well, thanks for asking this. So yeah, Ashley and I, we are both from the RDS team, relational database service team. And RDS offers managed database service for quite a while now, actually. I think RDS was launched almost on the same day 12 years ago and started from the
Wow.
support of the, yeah, can you
Wow.
imagine that? Started from the support of the MySQL databases, and then it was followed by the Oracle database in 2018, and today we support six database engines. So we all know there are many database workloads. Self-managed database workloads are running either on the premises or on EC2 instance. And what we know from our customers is running the self-managed workloads might be expensive, it might be time consuming, it might be complex. So our customers are mostly worrying about the day-to-day administrative tasks, which are taking their time away from innovating, from what could help their business to grow. And I'm mostly talking about the things like configuring the hardware, configuring the software, configuring the database, applying some patches on that, taking the backups, all these things. And we actually would like our customers to be able to focus on the work which could help their business to grow. And I'm talking about, it could be optimizations, it could be giving more features to the customers, it could be anything, but not like thinking how to scale or was the backup successful last night or not. So RDS offers managed database service, and it makes it relatively simple for the customers to create a new database instance, and then the administrative tasks come with a RDS. So when RDS instance is created, customer gets an endpoint, connect the applications to this endpoint, and starts using the database. And everything else, like monitoring the database, is it up and running, or it requires recovery, scalability, taking the snapshots, patching the database with the most recent security patches, everything is coming with the RDS. And scalability is reasonable. So some customers are running the instances on the tiny boxes, others are on the pretty powerful hardware with 30 terabyte of data, I don't know, 44 terabyte of memory. So that's what RDS is.
We've come such a long way. Interesting you mentioned 12 years because that was the last I used Oracle database, and this was when I started my career. I actually worked on Oracle databases. I haven't touched it in 12 years. So we've come such a long way, right? From having to self-manage, installing it yourself and running it yourself to the self-managed, completely managed services. It's fantastic. I think so many more customers are able to use this now because it's such an easy way to do this. And that was a quick recap for me. Thanks.
Sure.
Awesome. Yeah, I totally, RDS makes sense, right? We want to make sure our customers can focus in on what they do best and leave things like capacity planning, scaling, security compliance,
Right.
patching. We can take care of those things. So now with what are we talking about
Ooh.
RDS custom? Like what are we launching or what do we launch that helps
Yeah.
customers even further?
Yeah, we saw managed and then custom. So how does custom fit into managed? So that's
Exactly.
what we want to learn more about.
Right. And what are we doing after 12 years, right? What's the news?
Yeah.
Um, so something we heard from customers when moving to a managed system is that there are things that are difficult, right? While they want to benefit from everything that Oleg mentioned previously, there are things that I cannot move on. And Has to do with the permissions model that restricts the access to the database and the operating system. What we heard from customers is that they want a managed service, but they want to retain the access to the database and the operating system. And that's how we come with RDS Custom. RDS Custom automates the database administration task and operation while enabling database administrator to access and customize the database environment and operating system for legacy custom and package applications. Um, so that's what RDS Custom is. Some of the use cases that we are able to support now and that we are launching this week are installing applications directly to the host or applications that require an agent installed, as well as running applications that require Elevate privilege. Also, customers get general control to install custom drivers or enable features that require Elevate privilege. Um, Customers can lift and shift from their existing database and immediately benefit from managed service automation. With RDS Custom, they can use native tools that we will use on EC2, such as Airman or database tool to migrate to a managed service without making any change to the application. So that's why we are excited this week. We are finally launching this, and I think that that's one of the things that customer has been asking for a while now.
So just to clarify on that, so we have customers who have issues where they have certain types of databases um, that are harder to migrate because they need more permissions. Is that correct? And then from there, that's what custom helps, right? They have the ability to install agents, other types of software on the actual underlying instance that's hosting this that they normally wouldn't have without RDS for custom.
Exactly. It's like
Okay.
RDS managed service, but with the access of the host and the capabilities that gives Elevate privilege to access to the host.
Okay, got it.
See, as a not very database inclined person, it seems almost like in the past, if you had to do this, you had to do it yourself on maybe hosting the database on EC2 because you wanted that control, you wanted to install the third-party applications or other drivers and such. Because if you're using RDS, then you were just using what we offered, you couldn't customize it. So now you sort of have a way to get the extra capability control over sort of the application install applications with RDS and get root access and all that, but you don't have to, you still get the benefits of a managed service. You don't have to manage and install yourself, right? That's sort of the
Exactly. You still have patching, you still have scaling, you still
nice.
have automated backups, but now you have access to the host and you can customize for the use cases that you have.
So Eileen, could you talk about what are some of the most common things customers are using or will be using this for? What are some of the most requested reason they wanted this custom capability?
It could be to install legacy, custom, or package applications. For example, running special third-party applications on their host.
Like
And those
examples would be
it could be, for example, using Airman for physical migration from EC2 to a managed service.
nice. Okay.
You know,
So
when
this
you
helps
asked
with
this
that.
question,
Oh, go ahead. Go
so
ahead.
sorry,
Yeah.
when you asked this question, just made me smile because when we've been launching this week, we've been just looking in the Twitter, reading the comments, what that real people are talking about this, and I was just surprised to see so many comments in the Twitter saying that, hey, we actually could not use RDS for our ERP solution because we need that and we couldn't have it in the RDS. Or so people are mentioning the legacy applications, people are mentioning the ERP applications, so your enterprise resource planning, some business applications which are automating the business. But I would say overall, the legacy custom applications, which either require the elevated privileges to the operating system or database, or requiring the customization of the operating system or databases, in general, should consider RDS custom.
Yeah, I know folks watching, if you feel like this is going to be applicable to you, yeah, put them in the chat comments, because it's nice to hear that this capability is actually useful to you now, right? So yeah, feel free to drop them here. It's also good feedback for the team.
And then a question for either of you. So basically, how is the experience different from RDS, and when should you take advantage of RDS for custom, or just solely just installing on EC2?
Well, I think it's a great question. I can try to address that. And overall, the customer experience should be relatively similar to what RDS offers, used to offer. In general, we believe that most of the customers should still consider RDS as a first go, and if RDS offers what customers are looking for, then RDS is a great choice. For the use cases when RDS does not work for some reason, as we mentioned, so you either need to get access to the operating system or database, or you need the special permissions, then definitely consider RDS custom, and consider this as an alternative to running the applications on premises or on the EC2. Well, now the customers are owning all the resources and have the administrative privileges, so you can. We hope the customers will be able to just lift and shift the legacy applications without really modifying or adjusting them. And when I asked about the customer experience, I was thinking that maybe it's a great chance actually to show how it looks like rather than just to talk about this.
Yeah.
We'd love to
Demo.
see that.
That's why we're here. We want to see code. We want to see the console. We want to see demos.
Right. Okay, so let me share my screen and I'll just guide you through the experience. Yeah, so right now I'm on the Amazon RDS console, and RDS Custom is part of the RDS. So customers already used to use the console or RDS API CLIs. So RDS Custom is available through the same interfaces. So same API, same interfaces to creating the databases, creating the replicas of these databases, backups, restores, everything. There is a key difference though comparing to RDS, and there is a new concept or feature. We call it custom engine version. So you see it on the console here, and there is a special page for the custom engine version. So to explain what it means, I would start from the RDS. In the RDS world, customers can create database instances using the predefined engine versions. For example, in the RDS Oracle, we release the minor version every quarter with the Oracle quarterly security patch releases with it. So every time Oracle releases PSU-RU patches every quarter, RDS Oracle is releasing the new minor version. Sometimes some of our customers are requiring the special patches, the one-off patches, which might not be supported by the RDS Oracle. So that's how we come to the custom engine version. And custom engine version is a way for the customer to define their own engine versions and to decide which patches to build there. So if you need the same patches as in the RDS Oracle, that's fine. Every time when Oracle releases the engine version, we usually share the list of the patches on the documentation. You can just use the same patches. But if you know that you require the specific patches, then that's fine too. So now it's completely up to you which patches to build into the custom engine version. So before RDS Custom customer can create the new database instance first, the custom engine version should be created. And what customers the customer is going to the Oracle website, downloading the installation media files. So basically downloading the base files for the database and then downloading the patches which are required for the custom engine version, upload this installation media into the S3 bucket, and then comes and creates the engine version, the custom engine version. So right now I'm on this page. I can set the name for my custom engine versions. For example, I prefer using this like 2021-08. So I'm thinking about one of the most recent PSUs, and I'm picking the S3 bucket where I uploaded the installation media files. Just make sure that you're using the S3 bucket from the same region as where you create the custom engine version. And then I'm also defining the manifest. And the manifest is a way for me as a customer to tell to RDS Custom which media to build into the custom engine version. So I'm specifying what was the base installer database file, what's the OPatch file, what's the PSU-RU file, what other one-off patches files. So this is how I'm using the manifest. And for every customers, I really encourage to skim through the documentation. We've been trying to make it very clear how to use that, and we are sharing the links to the installation media which we used to use. We are sharing some of the examples of the manifest. So if this set is fine for you, just copy paste the manifest, put it into the CD creation page, and create your custom engine version. So it's taken some time to create a custom engine version. That's why I pre-created them. But once they exist, once they're available, customer can go ahead and create the first RDS custom instance. And from now on, the experience is pretty similar to what RDS customers used to have before. So I can create the database, and I can apply some of the, I can use some of the automation which I might need. So for example, I can create a replica of this database. I can take a snapshot. I can maybe restore to point in time if the recovery is required. So this stuff, the RDS customers, they already get used to that.
Oh, I've seen some questions from the audience here. I want to make sure that we address it. The first one over here. Can an already provisioned RDS be able to use this feature, get access to the underlying host server, or is this only for RDS custom?
This is only for the RDS custom.
Got it. And then speaking of that, now that we have RDS custom, we have access to that underlying host server. How does this work, right? This is a managed instance. How does this stay a managed instance? How do we keep managing that for them if the customer already has access to that server as well?
Well, that's an excellent question. I know that Ashley is gonna demonstrate that in the reality, and I'm just waiting for Ashley to wave me when she's ready. But I can start addressing that.
So in general,
I'm sorry, I'm having technical problems right now. I'm not sure. Can you hear me good?
Yeah, we can hear you perfectly.
You can hear you fine.
Perfect. Yeah. Do you think and cannot share my screen right now? Oleg, do you want to share while I talk?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So as said before, what we are seeing here is the RDS UI that anyone who is using RDS is normally used to it. When you click on any RDS database, you're going to be able to see all the information such as the instance class, the status, the database endpoint, etc. So in order to show what is different, Oleg, can you go to configuration? Yeah, perfect. So you're going to see there that there is a resource ID, which is db3b something. So this is the ID for the database resource. If now we go to EC2, and again, for anyone who is used to RDS, you know that on EC2, we don't see the information of the host. But in this case, the EC2 information, as well as other resources that are required, are all on the account. So here is our EC2 instance, which has the same name that the DB resource ID. So it's easier to identify if you have more than one RDS custom instance.
Nice.
And what I want to show is that besides being able to see the security, networking, and storage, we can now also connect to the host. You can connect using SSH, as you will do with any normal instance. But in this case, we are going to show how to access using SSM. So we can connect to the host. And we are going to be able to see the terminal where we can run any type of commands that we want on this instance. Again, this is the instance where your Oracle database is running. For this demo, we are going to show how we can access to root permissions, which Oleg is already doing. And we can see that the database is running here and that the process is there. And as you can see, the user is there, the SDB user. So now we are going to assume that user, and we are going to connect to the database.
Yep, I'm just connecting to SQL Plus as sysdba user. Here you go.
Yeah, and from here you can run any command that you want. In this case, I also want to show the combination between a system manage and the access to the host. So what we are going to test is the automation of our instance. And what we are going to do is we are going to shut down the database, which
Oh,
is
should I shut
hopefully
down it?
something that we never do. Yeah, shut it down.
But
And
how can I use it afterwards?
that's a great question. Because you're on a managed system, what is going to happen is that there is automation running on the background that is going to notice that the database is not running anymore, and it's going to try to start it right away.
This is really cool.
Yeah, it really
I'm
is.
having fun here. It's yeah, this is so cool.
Yeah,
I'm
so
taking
if
your
now
words.
we try to check, we're going to see that the database is not running anymore, right? Moment of panic, the database is not running. Uh, but what is going to happen on the background is that we are going to notice that the database is not running. We are going to start it again. It may take a couple of seconds. In case a customer wants actually the database to keep shut down because they are running kind of some patching or a migration, we introduce a new concept, which is the automation mode APIs that allows the customer to post automation so that we don't try to start the database. And Oleg already spoiled the news, but as he was showing, the database is already up again and the process is running.
This is really cool. This is really
Right.
cool.
Yeah, this is such a good combination of fully managed service and having the flexibility and control of, accessing the EC2 instance and running. This is, yeah, I think this is so powerful. So
Uh,
many customers would benefit from this.
and then I just want
Awesome.
to pop up a question here. Someone brought up compliance. Now that the fact that we have access to this host, like you're showing, right? We can put any
Mm.
patches or anything to make sure it's has any sort of compliance necessary for that organization, right?
Definitely, that's one of the ideas, right? So
Mm.
customers are owner of the host. They can install
Mm.
whatever their business requires, and as long as our as long as doesn't interfere with our automation, uh, it's going to run.
What if it does? What if something? What if they do something that does interfere with the automation?
So there are two options. If it is a momentary affection, like interference of our automation, like in a moment when we are installing a patch, the recommendation is to post automation. As I mentioned earlier, they will introduce new APIs for that, so that we can do the migration, patching, etc. And then the automation is going to automatically enable after a certain amount of time, or customers can manually enable it again. In the case that the change was such that the automation is affected, and in this kind of cases, what we are talking is about, for example, a change that made the database that it cannot be started. In that case, we are going to notify the customer that the database cannot be started, that there was a change that it cannot be reverted by our automation. And we are going to ask the customer to connect to the host and fix the issue.
Got it. Yeah, this is really cool. I I have no other questions. Shashank, do you have anything else?
No, this is really exciting. As I said, I think I think we should. I would love to see this in more services where you have this combination of
Yeah,
managed services with some flexibility and control, because customers often need that flexibility and control. And you mentioned different Oracle patches and different Oracle versions which are not usually exposed in the managed. I think this is such a powerful tool, and yeah, I if others want to learn more, if the audience. Folks joining in want to learn more, what's the best place to go to? How can they learn more and get started? Are there like examples that they can try, or where would you send them first?
Well, I already showed the customer documentation, and we really been trying to make it very clear what customers can do, how to pre-configure, how to do all the prerequisites before starting them. So the
Yeah,
first place I would send people to is our customer documentation. Skim
yeah,
through,
the
give it a
console
try.
looked easy enough to just actually just jump in and get started, right? Without it looked, the user interface was pretty streamlined. That's nice.
Awesome. And then you can also check it out at the RDS for Custom product page as well on AWS. Um, this was great. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Uh, and then for everyone in the audience, we want to hear from you, right? So we want you to fill out a survey that we have here as well. I'll put a little info right here, but please take a couple of minutes, fill out a survey. We want to hear what you think, how we can be better. We always appreciate your feedback. And Aylin, Oleg, thank you for a great demo. That was a lot of fun and also a really cool product launch as well. Great work, guys.
I know. Thanks for joining us.
Thank
Awesome.
you.